I'm Katie Couric. Are baby boomers heading for a financial train wreck? Tonight, a new report finds we're saving less of our income than at any time since the Great Depression. A dark night in the City of Lights to highlight a major new report on global warming. Casualties of Katrina, an epidemic of depression among the children. And a lot of us watch the Super Bowl as much for the ads as the game. This regular Joe certainly will. One of those ads is his.
It's called It's So Hard to Say Goodbye.
This is the CBS Evening News with Katie Couric.
Hi, everyone. There is no way around it. We Americans are addicted to spending, and we're spending more than we're earning. The government said today our incomes on average rose about 3% last year, but we increased our spending more than that, which means we had to tap into our savings. Just when millions of baby boomers are going to need that retirement nest egg, many of them could find an empty shell. Here's Anthony Mason.
The McGee family of St. Paul, Minnesota calls itself typically middle class. Brian is a salesman of hair care products. Andrea is the mother of 2 boys.
We're not the Rockefellers, but we're doing just fine. I'm surprised by how much money we're making. And I'm constantly asking myself, hey, wait a minute, how come we're running out of money at the end of the month?
Like most Americans, the McGees are finding it harder and harder to save. In fact, Andrea's found herself dipping into savings to pay their bills.
Makes you very nervous.
And more of us should be. Again last year, Americans spent more than they earned. The personal savings rate was -1%. We've had a negative savings rate only 4 times in history, the past 2 years, and twice more way back in the Great Depression.
This negative savings rate is a recent shift. Only 10 years ago, the savings rate was 4.5%, and 25 years ago, savings rates were in double digits.
Soaring house prices have made many of us feel richer and spend more.
I'm part of a generation where we spend more than we make. It's just, you know, instant gratification.
We sort of live in this privileged society now where we kind of think we're entitled to have the big screen TVs and that other stuff will come later.
Well, I'm going to win the lottery. That's my plan.
Everyone knows what an accountant would tell you. Live with one less cell phone, buy a slightly cheaper car, or a smaller house.
We have been saying for years that we need to sit down, make a budget.
A budget that Andrea McGee knows needs to include regular savings.
But we haven't done it.
Some people take comfort in the fact that many of their friends are in the same dire straits and that the economy doesn't seem to be in crisis. But even the Fed chairman will tell you if this keeps up, it could be. Katie?
All right, Anthony, thank you. If you are in debt and looking for tips on how to get out, we have some on our website. Just go to cbsnews.com. The country's lowest paid workers may finally be getting a raise. The Senate voted today to increase the federal minimum wage for the first time in a decade. The jump from the current $5.15 an hour to $7.25 would be phased in over 2 years. The House has also voted for a wage hike, but the Senate bill includes some controversial tax provisions, and it may take months to work out a compromise. From minimum wage to maximum profit, Exxon reported today that it earned about $4.5 million an hour last year, for a total of $39.5 billion, the largest annual profit ever by a U.S. company. Now to Iraq, where 45 people were killed today when suicide bombers attacked a market 60 miles south of Baghdad. And in the capital, 6 Iraqis were killed and a dozen others hurt when a car bomb went off near a busy shopping area. Meanwhile, in Washington, a Senate hearing exposed a major difference between the commander-in-chief and the general who has been his man in Iraq. David Martin has details.
Now in his final days as the top commander in Iraq, General George Casey told the Senate Armed Services Committee he did not want all the additional troops the president is sending.
I believe that the job in Baghdad, as it's designed now, can be done with less than that.
Although he supports the president's plan, Casey said he only wanted about 11,000 more troops, not the 21,000 being sent.
I did not want to bring one more American soldier into Iraq that was necessary to accomplish the mission.
Casey, who is the president's pick to become the next Army Chief of Staff, also differed with his commander-in-chief's description of the old strategy as a slow failure.
I actually don't see it as slow failure. I actually see it as slow progress.
But there are plenty of people who disagree, and they ask, why should the general who failed in Iraq be given the top job in the Army?
I question seriously the judgment that was employed in your execution of your responsibilities in Iraq. And we have paid a very, very heavy price in American blood and treasure.
Another Republican, Lindsey Graham, said Casey's strategy had brought the war effort close to collapse.
To all of my colleagues who believe we can't lose in Iraq, this is our last chance. The public is going to break against us big time.
The new strategy depends heavily on Iraqi troops, but Casey revealed the additional Iraqi units moving into Baghdad are only at 2/3 strength. And he conceded his progress reports on the training and equipping of Iraqis miss perhaps the key factor, their willingness to fight.
You can have all your people, you can have all your weapons, you can have your vehicles can all work, but if we can't depend on you, it's a different problem.
If he is confirmed, Casey will be responsible for providing all those extra troops he didn't want to send to Iraq. Katie?
And David, I know the Senate is expected to begin debate next week on a resolution opposing the president. What was General Casey's take on that?
He said the enemy would use it for recruiting and that he's already seen al-Qaeda videos claiming the Americans are beaten, come to Iraq to get in on the victory.
All right, David, thank you. Iraq's government is gearing up for that upcoming security crackdown. Today, it closed a key border crossing with Iran and also suspended flights to and from Syria. Make no mistake, the heavy fighting may be going on inside Iraq, but Syria has become a major front in the propaganda war. And the weapon of choice? Television. Elizabeth Palmer has our exclusive report from Damascus.
The open desert along Syria's border with Iraq is the only thing that lies between many young Middle Eastern men and their dream of joining the jihad against American forces just miles away. One of the most powerful calls to arms is Al Zawra TV. Banned in Iraq, but beamed across the region on satellite, it's hardcore anti-American propaganda. Al Zawra is run from Damascus by the former Saddam loyalist and Sunni member of Iraq's parliament, Mashan al-Jabouri.
Do you think that you and your channel are part of the resistance?
Yes.
What we call in the West the Sunni resistance. Are you part of the Sunni resistance?
Yes, we are. Exactly. This is our position.
Al Zawra broadcasts video filmed by insurgents of American soldiers in their sights and under attack.
Why do you show the American soldiers being killed?
Because we like to ask him to leave our country. Why he come to my country?
Emails pour into Al Zawra from would-be fighters.
What about Sniper the Lion Ahmed?
Sniper? Age 26. His job, student.
He and thousands like him not only want to fight Americans, but also the Sunnis' other arch-enemy, Iraq's Shiite militias. Al Zawra shows them looting and taking heroin. It also mocks their revered leader, Muqtada al-Sadr, by blackening his teeth.
We think the Muqtada al-Sadr is one crazy man. He's a blood man. He's killing man.
Mashan al-Jabouri himself is a wanted man, not only for inciting violence in Iraq, but for stealing millions of dollars earmarked for Iraqi oil pipeline security. It's a charge he denies. So far, the Iraqi government hasn't caught up with Jabouri, living comfortably in the open in Syria. As open as the border, young jihadis cross on their way to fuel the chaos in Iraq. Elizabeth Palmer, CBS News, Damascus.
And now to a global threat, climate change. The world's leading scientists will release their highly anticipated study on global warming tomorrow. And the news is not good. It says the Earth's temperature is rising and we are to blame, humans. Mark Phillips is in Paris with the story and the far-out idea scientists have to deal with it.
From the City of Light tonight, a message. The Eiffel Tower, symbol of Paris, went dark. It was just a gesture, and the small energy saving won't keep the ice caps from melting or the seas from rising. The grim report to be issued here tomorrow by the world's top climate scientists is expected to go further than ever before in laying the blame for global warming on human activity. namely the spewing of greenhouse gases into the atmosphere.
So much work has gone into this, and it really could impact people in many places.
The science of global warming, a lot of it done in the U.S., is clearer than ever. The planet is heating up and will continue to do so. The polar ice caps have been shrinking and will continue to, and sea levels will rise. Droughts will deepen. Deserts will spread, causing crops to fail.
People are asking, how certain are we about this information? We're very certain about the amount of carbon that's going into the atmosphere. We're very certain that the temperature is increasing.
As the tower lights were switched back on, the argument is already shifting to how to minimize the damage. In the same way as the U.S. took a long time to accept the realities of global warming and its human causes, the Bush administration is now stressing a very different response to most countries in how to respond to it. In fact, one idea Washington is pushing is literally pie in the sky.
Oh!
While the report deals with the effects on Earth of greenhouse gases, the U.S. is counting on future science. It's funding a study to see if millions of reflective plates launched into space and positioned between the Earth and the Sun could reflect enough energy away to limit the warming. A giant space sunscreen that even the man studying it says is a hugely expensive, desperate idea.
What kind of a planet is this, right, that it survives on this high technology fix? So you have to go to the heart of the problem and reduce the greenhouse gases.
And the pressure on the U.S. to do just that will continue to rise, just like the temperature of the planet. Mark Phillips, CBS News, Paris.
Here in the southeast today, some global chilling. There was snow and ice in parts of Georgia through the Carolinas. That system is moving up the coast to the northeast tonight. The storm made it tough to get around. Check out what happened to one driver in Randolph County, North Carolina. He went off the road and into a ditch. Luckily, though, he wasn't hurt. We've got much more ahead. Up next, Katrina's kids living far from home and now suffering an epidemic of depression. A CBS News exclusive. And who's the NFL's shining star this Super Bowl week? Peyton Manning, Brian Urlacher? How about a guy named Gino Bona? CBS News in focus. Hurricane Katrina is still taking a terrible toll. The government has spent $110 billion over 17 months, and there are still as many as 250,000 displaced people living in 96,000 temporary trailers. But there are other numbers that have mental health experts alarmed. They have to do with the children. Chief Investigative Correspondent Armin Katayan has this exclusive report.
On the outskirts of Baton Rouge, nearly 800 FEMA trailers packed with families stretch into the distance. A mud-soaked outpost where 17 long months after Katrina, 2,000 lives feel very much like they've reached the end of the road.
And now a new in-depth study obtained exclusively by CBS News illustrates the real mental health strain of living long-term in what some have called a permanent state of limbo. The most startling finding, the devastating impact on children.
The study done by Columbia University and the Children's Health Fund found as many as 10,000 displaced children across the Gulf are now suffering from clinically diagnosed depression, a 400% increase from before the storm.
The loss of hope is a very powerful factor here.
Dr. Erwin Redliner supervised the study.
What we have is starkness, grim, uncomfortable, overcrowded camps, basically, and that's really hurting these kids.
In the back, and these
Latoya Watts is the mother of 3 of those kids in this sad, muddy camp. She's been here since March, her 200-square-foot trailer home to her family of 4. Without a car, she can't find work. She's been keeping her children warm this winter with a hairdryer.
Hey, I'm tired of living like a charity kid.
Kids who get very, very angry and out of control, and other kids who get incredibly quiet, all sorts of signs that these kids are dealing with things that they can't really understand and cope with.
You have families living with children. We're doing all that we can do to move those people into a permanent housing alternative as quickly as we can.
All you can do?
We are.
That's not what I'm hearing in the camps and the trailer parks. You know that there's a great deal of anger,
sure,
a great deal of hopelessness in those sites right now.
There is indeed, and I think you need to look at that against the context of what we have accomplished.
FEMA has found emergency housing for more than 80% of those displaced by the hurricane. But that's little comfort to the residents still stuck in this trailer camp, ironically named Renaissance Village. FEMA recently signed a new 4-year contract with the company that provides security here. Armin Katayan, CBS News, Baker, Louisiana.
Coming up next, the 2 men arrested for bringing Boston to a grinding halt. They may be laughing now, but maybe not for long. Security was very tight today in Britain as 9 terror suspects were brought to court. They arrived in a convoy of police vehicles. The 9, believed to be of Pakistani descent, are suspected of plotting to kidnap and behead a Muslim British soldier and then show it on the internet. Meanwhile, the 2 men accused of causing that security scare in Boston yesterday pleaded not guilty to placing a hoax device and disorderly conduct. They were released on bond and made jokes about their hair when they met with reporters. Boston police found a total of 38 electronic signs all over the city. They turned out to be harmless ads promoting a cartoon, but officials plan to hold the Cartoon Network and Turner Broadcasting responsible for the disruption, which cost Boston police $750,000. And so much for promises. When the Democrats took control of the House, they promised a 5-day work week every week. But 5 weeks into their session, they haven't delivered, not once. The House took 5 weekdays off in January for holidays and a Republican retreat. February starting the same way. No session today or tomorrow because of a Democratic retreat. Maybe they'll work 5 days next week? Nope. They'll be off on Friday. And coming up next, a word about Sunday, Super Bowl Sunday, how this man became a Super Bowl winner before the game even begins.
Set up, you got 5 guys sitting on the couch.
Yo. What's up?
That is one of the most famous TV commercials of all time. It became a huge sensation after it aired in the Super Bowl. Long after most of us have forgotten the game, we remember those ads. Among the ads you'll see during Super Bowl 41 this Sunday is one that was the brainchild of a fan.
Dance to the music, girls just want to have fun.
It's not American Idol.
We don't need another hero. Boom.
And that's not Randy, Paula, or Simon. But it was the ultimate display of Super Bowl spirit.
Dun, 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 dun.
These are some diehard football fans pitching the NFL their ideas for the best Super Bowl commercial ever.
Are you for real?
Seriously.
There's a choice you're making to watch the Super Bowl.
One lucky winner would have his or her concept produced professionally and aired on Super Sunday.
You know, I'm sorry.
The Super Bowl is a huge platform for top-tier advertising talent, but this year, fans like this guy are crashing the party. As corporate giants like Frito-Lay and Chevrolet are running ads created by complete amateurs.
I think it's great. Here's the defining construct. Is it good? Is it entertaining?
Lisa Baird, the NFL Senior Vice President of Marketing, says they got all that and more in the 1,700 pitches from football's faithful.
You should see my abs. I left them in the car.
Surprising.
They start doing the bunny hop.
Unintelligible. Not for public airing.
Questions, comments?
But she says one was pure genius.
It's called It's So Hard to Say Goodbye.
From a guy named Gino. Right away, did you think, I'm going to do this?
Yes.
Why?
I think I possess a lethal combination of I'm always dreaming and I'm never afraid to fail.
33-year-old Gino Bona took time out from studying for his MBA to present his pitch about anguished football fans, crushed that the season is over.
Is a word number 1 foam hand being put up back in the closet.
He was number 1 with the judges.
You are the winner.
Oh my God.
And soon enough, Gino was off to L.A., where he was hanging out on the set and getting up close and personal with his actors.
I haven't had a man's arm around me for quite a little while.
But the director is no average Joe.
Action.
Joe Pytka is considered the MVP of Super Bowl ads, having directed award winners like Pepsi's Busted Soda Bottler and the Michael Jordan Larry Bird McDonald's classic, Nothing But Net.
What do you want to do here?
You go from going to grad school to being this hotshot advertising creative director guy. It must have been crazy. Was it a complete whirlwind?
Yes. I mean, over 30 or 40 people have called my house wanting to be in the commercial. Mothers of NFL cheerleaders calling me to say you need to meet my daughter. I mean, it's really, really been bizarre, but fun.
But after Sunday, will any big ad execs be calling?
Oh, I don't know. They'll have to all go through my agent.
If not, at least Gino will have his 30 seconds of fame. And that will come during the 2-minute warning in the fourth quarter when Gino's commercial is scheduled to air. And that's the CBS Evening News for tonight. We'll be coming to you tomorrow from Miami as we look ahead to Super Bowl 41. Until then, I'm Katie Couric in New York. Thanks for watching. Good night.